Shifting focus, the labor and employment ministers of G20 nations met on Thursday online to discuss ways to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on domestic and global labor markets and society in general. Now, this comes as a number of nations, including South Korea and the U.S., are facing historically high unemployment numbers. Our Lee Seung-jae with more.
The COVID-19 pandemic has led to an unprecedented challenge that requires a coordinated global response. This is the first line of the G20 Labor and Employment Ministers' statement issued on Thursday, after the ministers discussed ways to cope with the virus's impact on employment across the world. According to the G20 labor ministers, they will come together to develop and implement comprehensive and effective measures to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on both the domestic and global labor markets and societies, adding that fighting and overcoming the pandemic is their highest and overriding priority. The labor ministers also emphasized that in addition to protecting jobs and income, they will work to ensure social protection systems are sufficiently robust and adaptable to provide adequate support for all workers in need, regardless of their employment status, age, or gender. The task will be tough, as a number of major economies are facing some of the worst unemployment numbers they've ever witnessed. This includes South Korea, which reported its first on-year job loss since the global financial crisis in 2009. South Korea lost some 195,000 jobs last month, marking the sharpest monthly decline since May 2009, when it saw some 240,000 job losses. In addition, the number of employed people taking temporary leave surged by 1.23 million to 1.6 million in April, the sharpest rise since 1983. In the U.S., more than 4.4 million workers filed for unemployment benefits this week, as job cuts continue to soar across an economy that remains all but shut down. Since the COVID-19 outbreak in the U.S. began forcing employers to close their businesses, some 26 million people have filed for jobless aid in the past 5 weeks alone. That's about 1 in 6 American workers who have lost their jobs since mid-March, the worst wave of layoffs on record. Experts predict the U.S. unemployment rate for April could go as high as 20%. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.